You just bought an E36 and you are probably itching to start throwing parts at it to make it faster. But stop right there, because we need to have a serious talk about what actually makes this chassis wake up versus what just drains your wallet. The E36 platform is legendary for a reason, but we are talking about a car that is over 25 years old now. So before you even look at a turbo kit or a flashy set of wheels, you need to address the elephant in the room, which is the cooling system. If you do not replace the entire cooling system immediately, you are basically driving a ticking time bomb, because the original water pumps had plastic impellers that shatter, and the radiator necks are notorious for snapping off. So your first modification is actually a reliability mod, consisting of an aluminum radiator, a metal water pump, and a new thermostat housing. Once you know the engine is not going to melt itself down, we can move on to the fun stuff. And the single best bang for your buck modification on the non-M cars, like the 328i or the 325i, is the M50 manifold swap. The later M52 engines were choked down from the factory for torque restrictions and emissions, so swapping on the intake manifold from the older M50 engine opens up the top-end breathing massively, and you can feel the car pulling way harder past 4,500 revolutions per minute. It is a bit of a pain to install because you need a conversion kit to make the hoses fit, but the horsepower gain is genuinely noticeable without needing a tune, although a tune certainly helps smooth out the idle. Now let us talk about handling, because that is why you bought a BMW in the first place, and the sad truth is, your stock rubber bushings are likely toast. Do not just replace them with stock rubber. Go for polyurethane, specifically for the rear trailing arm bushings, or RTABs as we call them. When these are worn out, the rear end feels like it is steering itself when you let off the throttle, which is terrifying, but poly bushings lock that rear geometry down and make the car feel predictable and sharp again. While you're under there, you absolutely must install reinforcement plates on the rear subframe mounting points and the front strut towers, because these cars have a nasty habit of tearing the metal right out of the chassis if you drive them hard or put stiff suspension on them. So think of it as armor for your car. For suspension upgrades, do not cheap out on $200 eBay coilovers, because they will ride like a dump truck and blow out in a month. You are better off with a high-quality set of lowering springs matched with Bilstein or Coney shocks if you are on a budget, or a reputable coilover setup like KW or BC Racing if you want height adjustability. The difference in body roll is night and day, and it makes the car look aggressive without ruining the daily drivability. We also need to talk about the shifter, because the stock throw on an E36 feels like you are stirring a pot of soup, so installing a short throw shifter kit or even swapping in a factory shifter from a Z3 or Z4 makes the gear changes feel mechanical and rifle bolt precise, which completely transforms the driving experience. Finally, let us address the exhaust, because the straight 6 engine sounds like a symphony if you let it sing, but you want to avoid the cheap cans that just drone on the highway. Look for a catback system that adds a deep tone, specifically something like a Strawmung or a Super Sprint if you can find one, because they give you that classic straight 6 rasp at high revolutions per minute without making your neighbors hate you. If you tackle these modifications in this specific order, you are not just building a loud car, you are building a balanced driver's machine that respects the heritage of the chassis while embarrassing much newer cars in the corners.